Hi, Charles Cherney here, and on The Real Deal, episode 20. Today's question is, are open houses valuable for a buyer? And I'm going to answer this question in terms of my experience as a top agent in Cambridge and Somerville, Massachusetts. So in Cambridge and Somerville, the answer is yes. Open houses, generally speaking, are valuable for a buyer. When I first meet with a buyer client that's beginning their search, I'm often asked, would it make sense for me to visit open houses? And I always answer yes, because typically, if you get out to see a number of properties, you begin to develop a sense of the market. In Cambridge and Somerville, public open houses are generally held on the weekend on Saturday and Sunday, and they typically fall between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m., with the majority falling between 12 and 3. A property will be open for an hour or 90 minutes or sometimes 2 hours, and it's posted as a public open house. And Sunday is the most popular day of the week for open houses, and the majority of open houses fall on a Sunday. But Saturday is a close second. And especially for new listings, you might see a new listing open both Saturday and Sunday. So the reason open houses are valuable is it allows you as a buyer to get out to see a number of properties in the same block of time. And this is an efficient way to get a sense of what's for sale and to develop your sense of the market. So if I'm working with a buyer, I'll email on the weekend regarding open houses. And it may be that the buyer decides there are 6 properties they wish to see. And lo and behold, they are all hosting open houses. So it's just a matter of putting together a schedule to go from one to the other to the next. And so it's a very efficient way to see a number of properties in a small window of time. In addition, if you're at a property that's open, it may be that you choose to spend a little more time there and you feel as if you're there as a buyer without an audience of other people looking at you, looking at the house, as the host will have opened the door and turned on the lights for all visitors and, greet those who are arriving and then sort of let people be to themselves. So many people like that at an open house, they can sort of be in their own world in terms of perceiving the house. Now, granted, some people feel a little overwhelmed if it's a busy open house and it's almost hard for them to process seeing the house since they're seeing so many other people at the property. If that does happen, obviously one can schedule an appointment showing thereafter so you can return and see the house alone. So it's not as if attending open houses or an open house precludes the possibility that you may also wish with your buyer's agent to return for a scheduled showing. But again, just thinking back over my experience, it is very valuable for buyers to attend an open house. Now, when buyers visit open houses, my recommendation is always to put your phone in your pocket so that you're looking at the house instead of your phone when you are there. And it might even be wise if you're there with your friend or significant other to separate so that you can go through the house individually. It ends up being the case that you end up paying more attention to the house if you're traveling through it alone, and then you're less tempted to enter into conversation with the person you're there with that may distract you from seeing the house. So whether it's your phone or your company that you come to the property with, it can easily be the case that you become more engrossed in conversation or your phone and exit the open house and wonder, what did I just see? I don't recall the property at all. So you kind of want to discipline yourself as a buyer at an open house to sort of get into an attentive, focused mode. And you can think about things that may matter to you, whether it's the ceiling height or the quality of light or the views out the window or how it feels to sit in the living room or the size of the bedrooms. There's no right or wrong way to observe a house, but you do want to observe it. So aim to be attentive to the environment you're visiting. And this way, when you have left the open house, you're more likely to have a deeper memory of it. Look, if you find you're the kind of person who is more likely to remember things by taking notes as you go, then surely pull out your phone for that purpose and take notes as you go. It's just important that you aim to be present in the moment of the visit so you get the most mileage out of it. Now, open house hosts have varying degrees of knowledge about the property. It could be the primary listing agent who is hosting, who's done their homework and has notes about the property and the age of the systems and the reason the seller is moving and the preferred closing date and the number of units in the association if it's a condo that are owner occupied and the age of the roof and any disclosures from the seller. you can be blessed with a listing agent host at an open house who's a fount of knowledge. On the other hand, it could be that the listing agent has asked someone to host the open house for them on their team or in their office who doesn't know much of anything about anything regarding the property. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. If in fact you have interest in the property, your buyer's agent can always follow up with the listing agent to ask your specific questions and get answers to them. And if they cannot be answered at the open house that you're visiting, I wouldn't worry about that so much. You can always find out later. So, your purpose in being there is to experience the space and discover if you have an interest in it. And then if necessary, or if you desire, a return visit by appointment can be arranged. Look, I don't mean to discount the value of showings by appointment. I just mean in this video to talk about how a buyer in Cambridge and Somerville typically does find visiting open houses very valuable. Now, in addition to ones that occur on the weekend, on occasion, there'll be open houses on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Once upon a time, those days were the preserve of broker open houses. And then at some point, they became posted as well for open to the public. They fell out of favor and were not as common during the pandemic. They've since made a return, and there's a certain number each week, not that many. And they're posted typically not just for brokers, but for the public as well. Moreover, they end up more likely to fall on a Thursday instead of a Tuesday. And so, it may be that there's a handful of open houses on Thursday, and sometimes buyers will find their way to one of these as well, especially for a new listing, where it may be that the new listing can be seen for the first time at the open house on Thursday, if there is one. Otherwise, it's not uncommon for a new listing to have its first showings at the Saturday open house, right? So this is another reason people who are in the market to buy may attend the open house because it may be the first chance to see the property if it's a new listing. So in a nutshell, open houses in Cambridge and Somerville are valuable for most buyers. They do not preclude showings by appointment, but they can be a valuable tool and a good way to see a number of properties in a short period of time and to get a sense of inventory in the market and enrich your understanding of value. My name is Charles Cherney, and I hope this was useful to you as you give thought to buying the right home or selling for the best price in Cambridge or Somerville. Reach out at any time by text, telephone, or email. If myself or my business partner, Maggie D, can be of service to you in your search, be in touch. Take care.